Hallo en welkom hier by Farmspace. Right, video 2 in ons Spuit reeks ding. Ons was onlangs by 'n boeredag daarby saam met Syngenta gewees en dit is regtig awesome om te sien hoe hierdie nozzles en al die tipe van goeders werk. Maar spoed en jou boomhoogte. Hoe belangrik is dit op spuite? Jack Pickering gaan ons bietjie meer vertel.
The one no one wants to talk about, speed. Everyone wants to go fast. I don't know what it is. I think as soon as you get in that sprayer, you just like it. You just want to get things done.
It's called rain.
Yeah. But the reality is, this is a trial done in the UK where this is pre-emergent herbicides. This is control of black grass, so that's 90% control. So most herbicides need to be around here, 80-90%. And you can see as we increase speed, you decrease efficacy. Same product, same day, just a change in speed. You can see that effect. The other problem with speed is generally when you're sitting around this 16 and higher, you don't want to put your boom at the right height. You'll end up having your boom very high off the ground because you know booms are expensive, and the last thing you want to do is that boom to hit the ground. So you lift the boom, which we're going to get to.
But if I put a bigger nozzle on there, can I go at 20?
No, so remember, so you can, and this is so there's two things here. If you are talking about a conventional ground application, if you increase speed, you then got to increase water volume. So you actually got a decision. Do you want to go faster or do you want to go lower water volume? But you can't have both. That's the problem. If you want to go very fast, then you're going to have to probably increase your water volume. And even then I wouldn't suggest it. And the reason I wouldn't suggest it is because of this. And the other reason I wouldn't suggest it is that eventually the machine does have to slow down. So if you want to go 20 k's an hour, when you slow that machine down, that pressure is going to drop too low. And you're going to have the other problem. And you've got those extra coarse, big, nice droplets so that I can go fast. But now that nozzle doesn't operate at 2 bar.
So you're telling me I need another sprayer?
No, what I'm saying is that you need to basically have more than one nozzle on your sprayer and you adjust according to the weather conditions.
Ja, maar fok, jy kan nie in jou run nozzles change. As
You
ek
can-
afsluit, ek moet uitklim en my nozzles draai.
Yeah, but I mean,
My sê is vir jou, koop hom.
But where does the Goldilocks zone then lie in this? What's the
so generally speaking, 12 k's an hour and slower is what we tend to say, but 12 k's an hour is sort of your mark. I wouldn't go faster than 12 k's an hour because you're going to start having this. Anything above 12 k's an hour, you're going to start have turbulence on the boom. Sorry, it's not a great picture, didn't come out nicely. So this, same sprayer, obviously, this is just higher speeds. What ends up happening is you get turbulence on the boom and it swirls.
Yeah, but the right hand side you can see spraying, the left hand side you can't see.
Yeah, and
So
that's the point.
if you would have asked me, I would have
But
said
that's
the
what
right hand one is the right one, the left hand one
And
is
that's
wrong.
exactly the point. There's a massive misconception. If you can see the droplets like this means that they're not settling in the crop. They're hanging. If they hang, that's more chance for them to drift away. It's more chance for them to evaporate. Remember, if a product evaporates before it hits target, it's the same thing. You're losing chemical. So you don't want this. This whole concept of mist sitting there is not actually what you want. What you want is you don't want to see it. You want the droplets in the crop or on the ground, not hanging in the air like mist.
That's a conventional pump. It doesn't have impulse.
Yeah, well,
What do you do?
So-
What do you do with the dust behind you? The nozzle right behind the wheels, where all the dust is coming up. What do you do there to get the stuff on the ground?
you need to change so you need a coarser droplet and you need to increase your, I know, because you're creating, but also remember,
Always seeing in the tracks behind the stuff isn't dying.
it's because what speed are you traveling at?
12, 15, 12, 15 k's an
I
hour.
rest my case. The faster you go, the more dust you create. The dust, again, as we increase pressures, you drop water, you drop droplet spectrum. You drop droplet spectrum, it gets easily caught into that dust, and that stuff that doesn't hit target. So the stuff that you're seeing on the tracks, do me a favor, slow your speed down a little bit on just 1 or 2 passes. And if you don't have improvement, I'll be very surprised. But I'm happy to come back. And if you prove me wrong, we can have a strafdorp or something too. But I'm pretty sure if you slow your speed down and you select your nozzles correctly, you won't see any weeds behind the wheel tracks.
Roundup sit ek met geel nozzles, maar agter die wiele sit ek die bruines in.
So remember, what's going to happen there, is it a rate control system or is it just...
Quantums.
So you're going to be over applying because you've increased the size of the nozzle. So those sizes, so a brown nozzle is an 0.5 nozzle. So that means that at 40 psi, that's producing 5 gallons. So that's close to, what's it? It's like 3 or 4 liters a minute. So, but basically the long and the short of it is you're actually over applying where you put those and you're under applying. But then it also makes your spray uneven because your pressure, your machine now, even without a rate control, it's got a pump, it pushes into the bar. And obviously you then taking your pressure across the bar. But if you have a bigger hole, in essence, which is by default what you've done, by putting different, that pressure is not going to be constant across the boom. So my suggestion would be you either need to go yellow across or you need to go red. So go in, yellow is a 0.2 nozzle. So I'm assuming you're spraying it like what, 80 liters a hectare or 150, yeah. So it depends how fast you're going. What I would suggest you do is rather just choose a red nozzle. And you could even increase, it's the first time I'm going to say this, but you increase your speed just ever so slightly and change to a red nozzle and put them evenly across the boom. So your output will increase a little bit, so you'll probably be sitting.
Maar dat is nou die probleem van hom wat hy het in die spore, die pylgoed wat inverrek is. Dit is hoekom ons net daar twee.
Because what water volume will you spray? Yeah, so remember, the lower water volumes you go, generally speaking, you're producing much finer droplet. So if you increase the water, you increase the amount of water, you increase the droplet, there's less chance of it getting caught up in that dust and you'll have better efficacy behind the wheels. So yeah, so or just change the type of nozzle. So again, first thing, please move those 05s out. Go at 150, you almost right. I'd push it up a little bit, but then what I would do is put air inductions on. Have you got air inductions? Which air inductions? Okay.
So wat jy vir my sê is ek 100 liter teen 10 kg per uur spuit. As ek 20 kg per uur wil hê, spuit moet ek 200 liter spuit.
Ideally, you don't want to go over 12. As ideally.
Ek spaak by 20 spuit. Hy spuit loop net 20. Hy kan nie onder 20 loop.
Look, at the end of the day, guys, I mean, you can take my advice or you don't have to, I don't mind, but at the end of the day, it's me trying to help you. So you can go 20 k's an hour. To answer your question, if you increase the water volume and increase the droplet size, then that will help you. So yes, to go to 200, make sure that you're producing basically an ultra coarse droplet. So when you select your nozzle, go into the catalog.
Maar as ek my nozzles change om 200 liter.
Yeah, so you're going to basically size up. You're at 100 now. So what color is the nozzle now?
Grys.
Grey, yeah, that's like the biggest jar. So you're already high, but yeah, you would basically have to go like to a black nozzle almost.
Wat se druk hardloop jy?
Op my grys is.
Ja.
As ek 25 ry so 230, 250,
2.3 bar.
Yeah. So your problem's going to be the air inductions.
Yeah.
Yeah, so your biggest problem now is that you've landed up in a bit of a problem because as soon as you slow down to like 10 k's an hour, those nozzles are not going to.
Ja, dan dit maar dan maak my.
And that's why. Yeah, but that's the problem, is that as soon as that pressure goes lower than 2 bar, especially for air induction. So not all air inductions are the same, depends on the air induction, but generally speaking, air inductions tend to work better at higher pressures. So you would actually be better off again tapping.
Wat is higher pressure?
High pressure 3,
dan moet ek oor die 30 ry.
no, or you just go change down the nozzle. You're on a grey nozzle, so go one size down. I think the greys are 06 or something like that, or 07. Basically just go down one size nozzle, and that will then increase your pressure because you change the nozzle.
Gaan net na rooi toe.
Not at 20 k's an hour. No.
Op 200 ging waarskynlik die waterkar moet saamsleep. As jy
So like I said earlier, you got to make that decision. You want to go fast, you got to have increased water volume, and you got to have a big droplet. And even then, you're still going to probably have a bit not as great efficacy as if you just slow down and move. So 100 liter a hectare application at 20 k's an hour is a dangerous place to be, and you're asking for trouble. It's nice when you're sitting in the cab, but I'm not sure if your crop thinks the same.
So 100 liters is more or less where we want to be. Rule of thumb.
No, I think that's the other big conception, is that everyone wants a water volume, and you keep a water volume the whole season. And the point I'm trying to make is that you've got to look at your sprayer as same as any other tool on your farm. You've got to vary the water volume depending on the weather conditions. So on a day, ideally don't spray on days like this, but my point is at the moment you're basically looking for a very narrow window period that you can operate in. Okay, so if you slow down and you in a situation where there's a bit of wind, you can operate up to a wind gusting at 5 meters per second as long as you've got like a TTI on, as long as you're going a little bit higher water. And then when the conditions are good, you then drop down to 100. It's the same reason planes should only really fly in optimal conditions, because again, you see what I'm saying? So to get the best optimization out of your sprayer, even by dropping the speed, is that you, by having more than one nozzle on the sprayer, you basically give yourself a wider period of operation. So instead of saying, I've only got 3 hours and then the wind picks up, I can maybe go to 5 hours before the wind really picks up. And that's an extra 2 hours every day. That starts adding up. At 200 liters a hectare, even if it takes you 45, if you've got a run of about 800 meters long in the field, and you're taking 45 minutes to fill the spray up, you still should do about 12 hectares an hour. So that's an extra, in that example, but that's what I'm saying. That's an extreme bad case, because I'd like to think it would take you quicker to fill your sprayer than 45 minutes. Exactly. So as soon as you fill up the sprayer quicker, you increase the productivity of the machine. But the point I'm getting to is that you need to look at your machine and water volume and droplet size as a tool for you to make that machine work for longer. Because at the end of the day, nozzles are cheap, machines are bloody expensive. Okay, so we talked about, when we were talking about our speed, we talked about boom height. One of the biggest controllable factors for you guys to lessen the amount of drift is just by making sure that that boom height is 50 centimeters. There are two reasons for the 50 centimeter boom height. First of all, it's drift. You drop your boom, you're obviously going to have better penetration into the crop because you've got all of that pressure at much closer to the target. And the other reason is, generally speaking in South Africa, nozzle spacing is 50 centimeters. So at 50 centimeters above the crop, basically this one's pattern is going to get to the center of this oak's pattern, and this oak's pattern is going to get into the center of this one, which is a 50 centimeters. So excuse?
20.
Oh, inches.
20 inches.
Yeah, it's like 20. Yeah. So
All the sprayers that comes in now is 15 inches. That's why I'm asking.
yeah, not sure, my conversion's not that quick off the top of my head, but I can guarantee you it'll be close enough to 50 centimeters. Can almost guarantee you that. 50 centimeters, 90% of sprayers made in South Africa are generally 50 centimeters. You can, if you shorten this distance, you can actually drop the boom lower. So in Europe, where drift's a massive issue for them, they're actually now designing sprayers that are 20 centimeters apart so that they can basically be 30 centimeters above their target. So yeah, but anyway.
Ek het 'n vraag.
Yes.
Op jou boom height, né? Soos daai driehoek wat hy mos nou maak. Hoe hoor jou boom is, hoe breër raak hy onder? Jou coverage.
Yeah, so if you increase the boom height, you are right, you get more coverage, but obviously by increasing that boom height, you land up with this problem, whereas you basically double the amount of drift, so you land up with this problem.
Maar kan jy nie dan
You get that same mist.
ja, kan jy nie dan 'n nozzle spuit met 'n coarser?
You can, so again, so this, if we look at the graph now, the conventional flat pan is the red one, and you can see it goes up quite a lot, extended range even more so. And then this is an air induction, so that air induction will produce that coarser. So yes, you limit it, but it's still going up is the point. So, and again, if we slow our speeds down a little bit, you won't have to have the boom so high, and if you don't have to have the boom so high, that's more product getting to where it's supposed to be getting instead of drifting away. I forgot to, yeah, you asked me so many questions, you at least deserve enough.
Wel, dis goed werk. Ek moet nie om te
Right, so Syngenta, net rondom wat hulle weet, dit is belangrik om jou produk op die einde van die dag reg neer te sit en seker te maak dat jy die maksimum effektiwiteit kry uit dit uit, dat jy nou nie te vinnig ry nie, ons sal almal stoot om klaar te maak, maar as jy dit dan moet doen, dan weet jy right, wat is die faktore wat actually invloed kan hê. As jy meer inligting soek, ons sit vir julle 'n linkie bo of die onder afhangende van waar jy hom kyk, en dan kan julle met hulle in kontak kom. Dis hier van Farmspace af, tot volgende keer, groete.